There's a study that came out recently in the journal Nature Microbiology that examined the differences in gut microbiomes of more than 21,000 individuals using self-reported dietary intake, and it compared vegan, vegetarian, and omnivore diets and looked at the gut microbiome signatures of individuals that fell into these three different dietary patterns. Let's talk for a second about the microbiome, about what it is, why it's so important, and how it is connected to our health. So generally speaking, your gut microbiome describes sort of the unique ecosystem inside your body. One of the coolest things is that our microbiomes really are distinct to us. It is populated when babies are first born. We grow, we start ingesting other things, and our microbiome adjusts based on the things that are coming into our bodies. What does the microbiome do? Well, it interacts with a number of systems in our body to assist with multiple different functions. First thing it interacts with is our digestive system. So bacteria in our gut, this microbiome, helps us to break down certain complex carbohydrates and dietary fiber. And in exchange, they produce short-chain fatty acids and enzymes necessary to break down vitamins, things like vitamin B, B1, B9, B12, and vitamin K. Our microbiome also interacts with and influences our immune system. Beneficial microbes in our gut help to train our immune system to help it identify things that are invaders from things that are not. Short-chain fatty acids that I talked about that are part of the relationship with our digestive system and are a byproduct of gut bacteria breaking things down within our intestinal system. Those short-chain fatty acids actually have important benefits for your immune system as well. The third area that interacts with our gut microbiome is our nervous system. Gut microbes can affect our nervous system through the interaction between our gut-brain axis. Certain bacteria produce or simulate the production of endocrines that act within our brain, things like serotonin. And the fourth and final system that our gut microbiome interacts with is our endocrine system. In particular, those gut microbes interact with the lining of your intestine, which is the largest portion, the largest endocrine system organ in our body. Microbes secrete hormones that regulate aspects of our metabolism, including blood sugar, hunger, and satiety. Now, one of the things that this study reported is that vegans in particular had microbes inside their guts that tended to be associated with better cardiovascular health, more positive cardiovascular health outcomes, and that omnivores, on the other hand, tended to have microbes associated with their gut microbiome that were associated with negative health outcomes. Now, one of the key distinctions that this article makes is that there was a subset of omnivores that actually had a greater number and variety of these healthier microbes that tended to be associated with plant-based foods, the same kinds of microbes that they saw in the vegans that were in the study. And what this suggests is that omnivores can help improve their gut microbiomes and the diversity of their gut microbiomes, and to increase the number of microbes associated with positive cardiovascular health by eating a larger variety of plant-based foods. Being a vegan may not be feasible or desirable by everybody. I know in our family, for example, we have a lot of allergies that prevent us or would prevent us from eating strictly vegan. My husband is allergic to soy, but also legumes, including peanuts, peas, eggs, and wheat. So again, it makes it really difficult to be too restrictive and follow something like a vegan diet where soy tends to feature heavily. So one of the things I am taking away from this study, though, is that it's really valuable to figure out other ways to include a variety of fruits and vegetables in our diet, because we do consume meats. So what are some of the ways that you can do this? How can you increase the variety of foods that you're eating, fruits and vegetables in particular, to help build up this plant-based microbiome in your gut? Well, I've talked at length in other places, and I will link to those below or in the blog post, about how you can increase the variety of foods that you and your family are consuming. And I won't get into the details there, but I do have other resources on that if you're interested in reading about that. And for some people, the key to increasing the variety of foods they're eating is to overcome the fear of tasting. This is especially true for kids, but it can be true for adults as well. I've also talked about that, how you can help your kids become better. What? I have also talked about that, how you can help your kids become better tasters, which in turn will help them build the variety of foods that they are willing and interested in eating. A variety of vegetables can come in a lot of different ways. One of the things you can do is make sure that you are consuming vegetables at every meal. And again, I have previously written about how you can increase vegetables you're eating at breakfast. I will link to that below and in the blog post. Still happening. What is happening? Okay, we're still filming. Okay. Always make sure if you are serving a meat, some kind of protein meat item, that you give 2 vegetable side dishes. I have pulled together a list of some of my favorite veggie-packed sides, and I will link to those as well for you. I'm not really liking this at all. Hold on. So when I was recording earlier today, I was interrupted. There was a knock at the door and somebody needed something, and I was completely interrupted. And the video hadn't been recording properly. It kept falling. Anyway, I thought I had recorded a whole bunch of other content to put into the video, and none of it was captured, of course. And so I was editing tonight. I realized I needed to come back and record a couple of other really key points. So how do you increase the diversity of vegetables and the amount of vegetables that you are consuming to help your microbiome begin to mimic a little bit more, if you are an omnivore, what the microbiome of a vegan looks like, of those healthy microbes? Okay, so again, I talk about how to increase the diversity of foods that you and your family are eating. I have a whole other post about that. I will link to it below. I also talk about how sometimes the key to helping increase the diversity of foods that you or your kids in particular are eating, although sometimes this is true for adults as well, is that you have to help them overcome the fear of tasting something new. So I write a lot about how you can help your kids or your grown-ups become better tasters. This will in turn help them be more willing to eat a wider variety of foods. The third thing I wanted to be sure that I said is that one of the keys to increasing the diversity and the amount of vegetables that you are eating is to make sure that you are eating vegetables at every single meal. For me, breakfast is the hardest. And lately, often what I end up doing is just cutting up raw veggies and eating them in the morning. It's not my most favorite breakfast. I need to pair it with some kind of fat. Often I just grab a handful of nuts, but it really does help. Okay, and the other key thing that I wanted to talk about is how to increase the diversity of vegetables that you're eating. Because again, the study talked not just about the amount, but actually eating a wide variety. So think about eating the rainbow of veggies. You know, this is maybe a bit trite, but it works. You think about eating the full colors of the rainbow. But I don't know if you're anything like me, where I live, it's really difficult. My chain grocery stores have a certain number of vegetables that they offer because that's what they can have access to and that's what sells. And so it's difficult if I'm just relying on my local grocery store to build a diverse vegetable diet. So some of the ways that I try to increase diversity: I shop at places other than just my local grocery store. This does take a little bit of extra time. I don't do it necessarily every week, but I will use local or family-owned grocers. So going to some of these can help increase the diversity of types of foods that you have access to. I do, when I am able, shop at the farmer's market. Sometimes our farmers are growing different things that are offered at our local grocery store. And if it makes it easier, don't think about increasing the diversity over the course of a day. That can be really challenging, and then you stuff your refrigerator with vegetables that don't get used. So think about adding variety over a longer time span, something that works for you. A week, maybe it's a month, or maybe you at least think about it seasonally. And in doing so, it helps you to build out that diversity. Lastly, if you are not sure where to start, or you can't even begin to think about, or you're like, what are other things? Like, okay, cucumber, carrot, and then it just kind of falls away. I have also prepared a list of more common and less common fruits and vegetables that you can use when searching and looking for ways to expand the diversity of fruits and veggies in your diet. And I will also link that below in the notes or in the blog, if that's where you're reading this. Okay, that's it. Till next time.